amigos da TV Mundo Maior. Você acompanha o programa Ciência, Espiritualidade e hoje nós vamos a mais uma série de entrevistas com o professor Amit Goswami. Amit Goswami já é bem conhecido pelas suas pesquisas, e pela sua inserção da questão da espiritualidade na ciência. Ele participou do filme Quem Somos Nós, é autor de vários livros e também professor emérito na cadeira de Física Quântica da Universidade do Oregon, nos Estados Unidos. No nosso programa de hoje, nós vamos acompanhar uma entrevista realizada com o professor Goswami sobre as noites obscuras da autotransformação. Vamos acompanhar.
So it's very inspiring to be with you and hearing from you. And for those people watching us, sometimes people see a person like you saying you are ready. You never have your own struggles and conflicts. And reading a little bit about your biography, having a background in Hinduism and at the same time going to the scientific, at least in the beginning, how you yourself dealt with your dark night of self-transformation and integrating everything?
Well, actually it's not as difficult or as tremendous as it sounds sometimes. I had to make it too dramatic. It's not like that. Of course, we have what can be called a dark night of the soul, but it's too dramatic for my taste. It does not have to be made that way. In the olden days, I think what happened was that people, the creative experience came as such a surprise. And indeed, before then, you do get into kind of doldrum, nothing is happening, and frustration. So the change was such a huge contrast that we have these pictures of dark night of the soul and all that angst and anxiety and all that. When we do engage with the creative process with understanding, all the creative process does, I'll tell you, it's so simple to understand. Ordinarily, when we are trying to solve a problem, we have an idea and we try it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, we go to another idea and we try it. But how many ideas can you try? Try something like understanding love. You're having a little difficulty with your intimate relationship. And you really want to love this person because you do love this person at some level and you know it. But there are always problems. Something or other triggers your negative emotional brain circuit and you start fighting. And the cloud is so enticing that until that cloud disperses a little, you don't even see your way through. And this happens again and again. And you want to know, how can I do it better? Now try to apply that so-called scientific method. We try this idea. So you say, well, today when we fight, I'll just smile at her and I'll just not get upset. You try that and, well, you try it, but she started saying things that would upset you anyway. And it goes on, and how many things can you try? I bet you will try 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 things maybe through the year. Nothing works. What the quantum does, it allows you to try many possibilities all at the same time. This is so beautiful, and we do it unconsciously. We don't do it consciously. In our unconscious, we have the capacity of quantum processing. Many possibilities at once. Quantum objects has this capacity. They can be many, many things all at once. Not in actuality, but in possibility. So we let the processing done in possibility, quantum processing. Creativity researchers have discovered that this is the basis of all creative experience. Quantum processing, preparation, and then quantum processing, just being, not doing anything consciously. Consciously just relaxing, just being. But unconscious start this processing, quantum processing, all possibilities at once. So we have to do and be and do and be. I call it the do-be-do-be-do process. So once you understand this, you see, then it's not necessary anymore to have this dark night of the soul, such tremendous angst. Still a little bit of angst will be there. I mean, there is some anxiety, of course. But it would be quite okay also, because it's not really a whole bunch of doing and then we suffer through and not doing anything and suffering this angst, dark night. Not necessary. If we do just develop a do life, this creativity becomes part of life itself. And then these insights come. They are no longer the result of dark night of the soul. They just flow. There are people like that. There was a poet in my home country, Rabindranath Tagore, whose life became so, he was both an inner creative and an outer creative. The combination was so wonderful that creativity just flew from him. It was just he was in that flow constantly. Da Vinci was a man like that. He doesn't talk about dark night of the soul. I'm not negating dark night of the soul, by the way. And that was the way that people in the ancient times found things, because they were doing it blindly. But now that we understand the process, we can emulate the people who already have done it this way. And then it really, you can live in that creative flow. You never have to go out of it so much that produces that prolonged angst. There will still be a dark night, but it no longer will be a night, maybe a dark hour.
Dark minute.
Dark minute.
And for assessing this fundamental creativity, what is the importance or the role of having a higher meaning or higher purpose for everything that you do?
Yes, that comes from within us, because we recognize that so long as we have this negative emotion, we begin to recognize what is the plight of other people. We begin to recognize by seeing our own reflection in the life of everyone. The whole humanity is suffering from this. So then we look for the remedy, and we find that, well, isn't the best way to live to balance these negative emotions? So we become interested in positive. And so we start looking for positive emotions. The chakras in our body tell us what the positive feelings are, because the negative feelings are all connected with the basic metabolism and reproduction stuff. After that comes, starting with the heart chakra, that's the place of love, and then expression, then clarity, and then finally satisfaction. So we look for these things. What satisfies us the most? That becomes the question. What is the secret of satisfaction? Sometimes we are satisfied, sometimes we have done so much, made so much money, it still doesn't satisfy. More money. So obviously money is not the objective of satisfaction. Then we begin to look at finer aspects, and we find that satisfaction comes this way. When I have taken care of one, where I went yesterday to see this wonderful hospital in Sao Paulo. Well, not strictly in Sao Paulo, it's a neighboring city of Sao Paulo. But very beautiful place, all kinds of mentally incapacitated and also physically handicapped people. And these nurses and doctors are taking care of them. So much love. There are problems, of course, but these people are trying to contain this particular, just giving service to this, totally helpless 600 or so patients. So where do they find the energy of doing this? Where do they find the motivation of doing this? Because they want to energize their own love, own heart chakra. This is where that motivation comes from. So in this way, there's so much misery around the world that we have the laboratory to learn about finer emotions, how to activate them. And these things give us satisfaction. So you see how we go? So those of us who are capable, others are not capable yet, but they are also part of us.
Sure.
They are not separate from us. Once we get that idea that these people are not separate from us, then we try to do whatever in our specific sphere. We don't go out of our sphere. I'm a quantum physicist. I'm not going to go what the doctors can do. I can admire them from a distance, but I know that capacity I don't have. I don't have the healer capacity of a healer. You are a communicator. So you don't sit in my chair. I sit in my chair, I do my thing, and you are doing this wonderful interview. You elicit this whatever that is happening from me. Listeners are enjoying that. So we remain rooted in our basic capacity. In that capacity, we start earning satisfaction. We don't go for money, we don't go for fame, but what satisfies us deeply. And that is what creates this positive emotional brain circuits.
Vamos fazer um breve intervalo e voltamos já já. Você acompanha o programa Ciência e Espiritualidade, hoje apresentando mais uma série de entrevistas realizadas com o professor Amit Goswami. Agora nós vamos acompanhar um pouquinho de como ele coloca do porquê que é necessário ter um entendimento maior sobre a vida, de ter um entendimento sobre o propósito maior. Vamos acompanhar.
And what would be this, you mentioned in your book this idea of this spiritual economy or conscious economy. If I understand well, having human beings relating themselves with a higher meaning, not based only on basic needs, but on more spiritual, emotional needs, what would be an economy serving humanity with this approach?
I think that time has come. Whereas it is true still, we have out of 6 billion people, it is still true that 80% live in tremendous misery.
Yes.
That is true. But I think, this threshold certainly that we are talking about, some people making a change that will make changes in the whole species. I think the threshold of that couldn't possibly be any more than 20%. It's probably much less than even 10%, my personal feeling. Many people say it's maybe 3%. So we already have then the capacity of making a threshold of changes, people who can make changes that can get into the whole human species. So therefore time has come to recognize that many of us, when you calculate 3% of 6 billion, it's a huge number. Yes. And many of these 3% will live in the economically developed countries. Already we have discovered an economic aspect of businesses and industries and conglomerates, corporations, which is called outsourcing. The boring stuff we are transferring to really miserable places where people need money so much that they are willing to do anything. For us it's boring, for them it's making a living, it's exciting. So this is a very nice sharing of economy with another group who needs it at a lower level, but we are ready to move on to more meaningful jobs. People in these countries, and Brazil is quickly entering this advanced economy also, not whole of Brazil. Brazil has huge poor population, I'm quite aware of it, but part of Brazil. India is the same way. There is only part that can take part in this advanced economy. But there is room for it, which is that at that level, you are no longer interested in boring, meaningless jobs. You want meaning in the job itself. Why should you have, out of 16 or so waking hours, why should you have to spend 8 or 10 hours doing something meaningless? Because that takes toll in two ways. First of all, you didn't contribute to meaning in 8 or 10 hours, but also that doing a boring job does so much to your soul, drags it down so much that all you can do with the rest of your waking hours is to entertain yourself. So you really don't have any time to process meaning. So once we are liberated from these boring jobs, we will want to do meaning, we want to pursue meaning. So the economics that Adam Smith develops, which is based on the satisfaction of material needs, must now be enlarged in scope to allow for people satisfying their higher needs. There is demand for these needs. So there is a demand, so supply must come. This was Adam Smith's great idea. If the demand is there, supply must come. And there will be a match because of the invisible hands, wherever that is. I think it's the movement of consciousness. But, I'll allow that little bit of mystery, invisible hand of the free market, let's call it. So let's make this demand for higher needs part of the free market. Why should we just have an economy with material commodities? Why can't we have commodities like vital energies, mental meanings, even spiritual values? And then we'll have a spiritual economics.
Vamos a breve intervalo e voltamos já já.
Of course, today we know that for the 6 billion inhabitants in the Earth, that's going to be 9 in 20 to 30 years. It's impossible to giving access to the 4 billion people not having access with the same standard of addressing needs based on materiality that the US and Europe are the standards they are living today.
Exactly.
What are the paradigms that we are going to face to transit from this old paradigm of material economic based to this spiritual? Because, I mean, what are the biggest questions we have to face to shift from this paradigm to this new paradigm for the higher needs of human beings, considering that you are from India, we are from Brazil, we still have people not having enough food for a day. So,
So we have to be careful. We have to be careful never to underestimate the importance of the material sector. Because as you said, still 80% of Brazil, for example, 80% of India, for example, 80% of Russia, these countries still have, although they are at once very high intelligent people and highly intelligent sector of the economy that is there, but there is also this sector. So at once we never underestimate or we never undermine the importance of the material sector. But in addition, we must be ready to serve the rest. And also we must not forget United States, we must not forget Europe, Japan. These countries have the opposite condition. They have about 20% in the misery level and 80% who are completely ready to have meaningful, very meaningful economy. So what I'm suggesting is that this is not an either-or proposition. This whole worldview that is helping us to reinvigorate our social systems, this whole worldview is a very inclusive worldview. It's not like the old spiritual worldview, which used to say that, well, the material part is just Maya, illusion. We don't have to engage with it at all. The more free you become of it, the more happy you will become. We're not saying that. This new worldview is a complete integration of what is material and what is spiritual. We see that, yes, material is very valuable because the manifest world evolves. And evolution is a very important objective, just as being is a very important objective of spiritual search. But evolution is equally important objective of spiritual search also. And evolution can happen only in manifestation. So the manifest world is important. When you realize that, we never undermine the manifest world, even a part of manifest world. So material sector of the economy will be, of course, not neglected. But in addition to that, we'll develop this meaning sector of the economy, where people will be doing meaningful jobs. And they will be producing vital energies, positive vital energies. They will be producing, like in the health profession. In the health profession, I'll tell you, this vision is right now being manifested in places like Chile. I just came from there. The hospitals have started integrative medicine. Alternative medicine systems, they already take care of these vital and mental dimensions of health. In the conventional medicine systems, modern medicine, allopathy, they ignore the vital mental dimensions of health. And this has caused tremendous increase in medical costs. This is now becoming a huge headache in countries like United States and Europe. Not so much in Brazil, but I'm sure it's a concern. But we can bring the vital energy aspects of medicine. We can bring the mental aspects into medicine, and then medical costs go down. So this production of this subtle sector, production consumption mechanisms that I'm telling about, the health, that sector of the economy is already ready, already implementing some of what I'm saying. In the meaning sector, of course, because of the assembly line kind of meaningless jobs, meaning sector of the, we have a meaning sector of the economy. It's called entertainment industry, but it's very geared to entertainment.
Yes.
And that's the lowest form of meaning that you can get. There is a little bit of meaning even there, because, you know, for example, if you are watching a love story in a movie, eventually you get bit enthused. For a moment, you know, you'll want to love. So it still does have some meaning. It's not totally meaningless. But still, meaning is very, very dormant. Meaning is not underscored. Meaning is instead just something that happens sometimes anyway. But it's not something that is being focused on. What we need is much more focused meaning. What we need is the comeback for the arts and the humanities. And I really mean comeback. When was the last time that you read poetry? You know, poetry has real meaning. And poetry can give you access to real meaning very quickly. But we don't have poets anymore. They cannot support themselves in this culture, because it's all meaningful stuff has become only can sell as entertainment. There is no other avenue. So you have to bring back these avenues. Can they make an economic comeback? I say yes, they can, because this sector is ready. As soon as they're relieved from their drudgery of this day job of boring stuff, as soon as they're relieved from that, if they are doing meaningful jobs in their work, they won't get tired, mentally tired like they would get when they do meaningless jobs. And then they want to investigate meaning. As I said, if there is demand, there has to be a supply. So then we also can, from the supply side, businesses can take up the idea, oh, okay, we'll support some poets to produce meaning for these people. There is a market, so we'll sell. Poets don't have to do the selling. Businesses will do the selling.
And what about this very intriguing idea of giving higher meaning to raw products or material products itself, and bringing this idea of vital energy as a commodity? How?
Well, vital energy certainly is easy. Like, let's take, in Brazil, there is this company called Natura. You are involved with it.
Yes.
So they make fragrances and similar other products for... now, this, it is well known that these ingredients, if they're taken from nature, they work much better than if they are too refined and only the chemical essence by chemical processes is extracted by chemical means in the laboratory, not so much with natural products. There's a difference. Where is the difference coming from? You ask yourself, what is the difference? The chemical composition is the same. That we know about, you know, fragrances in a certain way is actually a deceit, in a certain way.
Yes.
Because the chemical compositions of all the fragrances are now quite well known. And anybody can tinker with a little bit, put a little bit extra, and call yourself this company's product. You can get a patent, you can sell. But basic stuff is the same. What basic stuff? The material basic stuff. That part is the same. But this Natura, this company has an idea of doing it from nature. Doing it from nature, what does that do? That maintains the vital energy part of it. You see? There is natural ingredients like a leaf from a tree has vital energy in addition to the chemical body. So chemistry only takes care of the chemicals, the physical part. But in the various processing, they completely get rid of the whatever vital ingredient that there was in the original stuff. They have not known about it. They have not thought about it. They have ignored it.
Yes.
Whereas people who are interested in nature, they, of course, they are also ignorant. We are finding out our vital energy only very recently. But even ignorantly, they had this feeling that maybe if we have used the natural ingredients, something will be better. And it turns out that it is better because of this vital energy ingredient of it. We need to do more research on this, but now we can measure vital energies. And we can measure it very simply. I once did a demonstration where we had many products useful for dieting, you know. This product was from natural ingredients. So this very simple demonstration, you know, just hold two metal rods like you're dowsing. Have you seen the dowsing process? You know,
yes.
Just like this. And we took the metal rods towards these other bottles of this stuff, food supplement. Nothing happened. We took it to the natural one. Immediately the dowsing rods became very active, showing clearly that there is a difference. What's the difference? It's the natural stuff. It's the vital energy that is the difference. So these people are getting the food supplement with vital energy, and those people who will be taking those other products, they are not getting the vital energy. Which do you prefer? Because vital energy is part and parcel of our body. Vital body needs as much nourishment as the physical body does. It's only our ignorance that have so far ignored that very important aspect.
This reality.
Yes.
So it's been a pleasure. We are coming to the end of our conversation. What would be your final remarks to this wonderful self or planet transformation journey that we are living these extraordinary times in the earth now to be the co-creators of this evolution to a higher spiritual reality?
You mean I can make a pitch for my own movement? We are starting in Brazil, this movement of quantum activism that we spent some time on. We are starting in Brazil, and with my friend Adriano Fromer Piazzi, who is the head of Editora Aleph, we are starting it big. We are going to really offer courses and train people to become teachers of quantum activism, and we'll start make this accessible to whoever want to dedicate their life to a joint venture, a balanced venture of self and the world, improvement of both. So, thank you.
Thank you very much.